so today's video is a really exciting one because I'm getting a pet that I have never had before, and that is harvest mice. So I've been interested in having harvest mice for a little over a year now, but it's just been getting pushed back because other animals have needed me, or my own animals I already have needed more social company. So it has been getting delayed, but I've had their enclosure and all of their things set up for about 6 months now, so I'm definitely ready to get some. And I've been working with harvest mice for a couple of months. The exotic refuge where I volunteer at that takes in exotic animals, they've had a fair few harvest mice, and I've sexed them and split them into 2 separate groups, a male group and a female group, because they have been breeding a lot and there is now a lot of harvest mice. So tomorrow I'm going to go and get some, and I'm not entirely sure how many I'm going to end up with. I'm hoping for 3 females, but we shall see, and I'll bring you guys along to pick them up. Okay, so this is their enclosure. It's a 60 by 45 by 45 centimetre Exoterra, and it's okay, it's going to be fine for just 3 females, and because they are still quite young. But ideally I would like to have them in something slightly bigger, one of the taller Exoterras, because they will utilise all of the vertical space, and my sprays are quite squished, so I am looking for one of those. I do prefer to get my enclosures on things like Facebook Marketplace, just to save money, so I have been looking for one, but because they are still babies, this is going to be okay for now. So I don't know the best way to show you this because it is quite packed, and that's how mice like things. I was going to film the entire setting up process, but I have to stand on a chair to be able to get in here, and I was just in the way, so I will show you it instead. At the back we've got these straw mats. These you can use obviously on the base of enclosures, but I use them as kind of like a background and to just give them a bit more coverage. So we've got 2 of those at the back. Then we have this wheel. This is an 8-inch Buca State wheel from Amazon. I was kindly sent this to try, and it's really light, really easy to use. I'm hoping they can push this. If not, I might have to get them a flat wheel instead. But behind that I've put some fake plants, and I wasn't too sure about actually adding these in. I've checked on things like harvest mice groups, and some people use them, but if I do see them chewing them at all, of course I will take them out, but that just gives them a bit more coverage. And the wheel itself is on a platform, which is one that I sell in my store, and there's things like toilet roll tubes, all sorts under there, with some hay. Then we also have some sprays tucked to the back, and then this is really cute. This is a moss hide. I think I bought this from Rat Rations, and inside I've just put some dust extracted hay, but these are really cute. I've attached this with a suction cup. Exoterras are a nightmare for trying to attach things, and I'm hoping they'll be light enough that things won't start falling down. But we've also got this. This was in my packet of sprays, like a random branch, so put that in too. And then we also have this wooden ladder. This again is attached with suction cups, and this goes all the way through the enclosure. And again, this is something that I sell in my store. And then moving to the front, we've got some more sprays and things. We've got a few chew toys like this. And then you can't see, we have this hide. I actually bought this for my leopard gecko as a humid hide, and she wouldn't even fit her head in this, so I've had it for a while, not had a use for it, and now the harvest mice can have that. So I think I've put some bedding in this, but I've just also scattered a bunch of things, hay and stuff on the floor that you can't really see. Then at the front we have this wooden chamber hide. This was made by Rat Accessories. There's an entrance on this side, and they can go all the way through, and you have a good view of them coming out this side. So because it is quite hot at the moment, I've just placed a tile on top. And then we do have a food bowl, which is quite unusual for me because I am used to scatter feeding my rats and my mice, my fancy mice. I'm gonna have to start saying that now, but apparently harvest mice are not that good at scatter feeding or digging in the bedding to find food, so we're going to start with a bowl and see how it goes. So then moving over to this side, we have a wooden tunnel. They can go inside of this, but I'm also using this to prop up their sprays. We've got some more sprays here, and then also some more sprays in the middle, and then also this chew toy, which I'll be very impressed if they can get onto this, but I just thought it was a really cute garland to welcome you into their home. And then around the back, this is supposed to be their water bowl. Not too sure how well it's going to hold or how well it's going to work, but because they are so small, I thought I would try this. I think it's supposed to be for crested geckos, but we'll see how it goes. We could also switch these two. And then we have another fake plant. And then this is a climbing frame. Again, I sell this in my store. You can't really see it I'll insert a picture of what it's supposed to look like, but it has a tiny swing on the bottom, so cute. And then finally, you can't really see this, but behind everything is the final hide. This one is kind of like a grassy wicker texture, which is so cute, and I've hung that from the top, so I think that's everything. There is a few more things on the ground that you can't really see. More chew toys, more hides, toilet rolls, things like that, all stuffed in, and that's how they like it. Very, very busy, very compact, just to make them feel extra secure. So that is their enclosure for the moment. I'm sure I will change things and add things, and as I said, if I get a bigger enclosure, I of course will show that in a separate video. Okay, so I've got them there in here. I did get 3 females, and I'm going to try and show you without them escaping because they've been going insane. So there is one, so tiny. I think the rest of them are under the bedding at the moment, but I am planning on marking their tails to help identify them. They do all have very slight differences, but because I'm not used to them yet, I cannot tell them apart, and this can be really useful if you have rats or mice that look exactly the same. Some people would say, what's the point in doing that, or isn't it cruel? And it can be really useful because if you have rats and you can't tell them apart, that's not good for health reasons. If one of them has a health issue or they have a health history, it's really ideal to be able to tell them apart. So I'm going to do this with a Sharpie. Perfectly safe, it does wear off after a point, but all I'm going to do is put a dot on one of their tails. I can tell one apart from the rest because she's a very different colour, but 2 of them are quite similar, so 1 dot for one of them, possibly 2 dots for the other, and I will have to redo this fairly often, maybe once a month or so, just to help identify them. Right, let's try and do this without them escaping because they're not really animals that should be handled often or enjoy being handled often, and they are very, very quick, so I'm going to try and do this in the best way that I can. So now is probably a good time to tell you the names whilst I'm trying to identify them. This one is the youngest and the smallest of the 3, and this one's name is Cashew, and I have gone for a nut theme just because there's many options when it comes to that if I do get more in the future. Good girl. Oops. This one is kind of a middle ground, not the reddest in colour, not the smallest, just kind of in the middle. So this one is Pecan. And Pecan is just going to get 1 dot because I've done 2 dots on Cashew's tail. So let's try and just do 1 dot, shall we? And this is Hazel. She's a lot more red in colour, and she does have a very slight notch on this ear, so I'm not going to give her any markings. I can tell her apart from the others quite easily, so I'm not going to give her any Sharpie on her tail. Are you okay? What are you doing just sitting there? Do you want to go into your new enclosure? So I did also get some of their old bedding from their old enclosure just to help them feel a bit more secure. This will have all of their old scent on, and I'm going to put that into their enclosure, but let's put them in. You are crazy. You're so crazy. So I've had them now for a few weeks and I'm enjoying them so much. They are definitely much more of an observation pet, but they're so fun to watch interacting with their environment and just climbing on things, and I definitely plan on upgrading them to a taller enclosure because they will use every inch of the space and definitely utilize all of it, so that's been really fun to watch. And one thing that's really cool about harvest mice that differs from fancy rats and fancy mice is they actually have prehensile tails, and they use these to hold on to things. When they're climbing, they'll wrap them around your fingers or around the branches, and that has been really cool to watch too. One behaviour that I have seen that is so funny to watch, that I assume is a defence mechanism, is when you come up to them sometimes, they'll kind of swish their tail at you in an S shape and also arch their back, and it kind of looks like they're twerking, so I think they're trying to be intimidating, but because of their size, they are anything but. Speaking of their size, they are so much less maintenance than bigger rodents, things like rats, fancy mice, guinea pigs, just because they don't produce as much waste, and there's really not much of a smell to them. If you stick your head in the enclosure, all you're really smelling is the sprays, the bedding. There's not much of an ammonia smell like you get with fancy mice, which is nice, and they don't need cleaning that often. Probably you could get away with doing a full clean every few months, so they are really low maintenance. The biggest things really is just making sure their water is topped up and they have access to sprays and seeds, because they do go through these pretty quickly, and just making sure they don't escape because they are so small and so quick, and if these got out I think you would have a hard time finding them and getting them back again. And just make sure they have all of their doors shut, so if you're a very forgetful person like me or you have children, I probably wouldn't recommend them because they can be lost pretty quickly. That is the end of this video. I hope you guys have enjoyed meeting them. I just can't get over how small and how cute they are, and of course I will make more videos on them in the future. I have a feeling a lot of you are going to be interested in harvest mice as pets. If you keep rats and fancy mice, chances are you probably find these incredibly cute, so I will make more videos on them in the future. But until then, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!